How's it going, everyone? This is the Anime Man. Now, earlier this year, my buddy Duncan, or Pediata-san, we hung out in Akihabara, or the anime city, and he took me to a maid cafe. I did do a vlog of the whole thing, and you can check it out in the card that's just appeared on the screen right now. Now, I didn't exactly record anything inside the maid cafe because they're very strict about that. Like, you can't film inside a maid cafe without, like, proper permission. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that permission because, you know, just saying, oh, we're YouTubers, just, I guess, didn't give us any credit or anything. Now, that was the first time that I have ever been to, like, a proper maid cafe, and, let's just say, I contemplated suicide. Like, I did not have fun in that maid cafe whatsoever. Like, luckily, you know, Duncan was there and he's a good dude and, like, you know, he helped me emotionally along the way, but I just did not have a fun time. And I knew I wasn't gonna have a fun time before I even went into the maid cafe. Now you might be thinking like, well Joey, why would you hate something, or why would you know you're gonna hate the maid cafe if you haven't even been to a maid cafe? Like, there was no room for judgment whatsoever. Well, yes, I've never been to a maid cafe, but I knew it was already gonna suck because of the story that I'm gonna tell you guys today. Because years and years before this maid cafe earlier this year, I have experienced the abomination on earth known as Tsundere maid cafes. And how do I feel about Tsundere maid cafes? Well, I fucking hate them. Let me bring you back to the early 2010s where I was still a wee old teenager and I had come to Akihabara to visit one of my friends to like hang out with him. Now my friend was also an otaku. He was a Japanese dude living here and he loved his anime, and I used to love talking about all the anime and otaku kind of shit with him. And it was a while since I'd like caught up with this individual. He's a great friend of mine, and we just arrived in Akihabara and the first thing he said was, "Yo dude, you ever been to a maid cafe before?" And I was just like, no, I never been to a maid cafe before. Actually, I'd known about them and I've known some friends who have been to a maid cafe, but I personally have never been to a maid cafe. And so I thought just from that flow of conversation we were gonna end up in a maid cafe, but instead he said, bro, fuck that shit. I'm gonna take you to a place that is like leagues better, just the perfection of something that a maid cafe can never achieve. So I was thinking like, oh cool, we're not going to maid cafe, we're going to the other different cafes. I had known about, you know, the cat cafes and the dog cafes and the owl cafes, and there's just all sorts of different themed cafes here in Akihabara. And I'd never been to any of them, so I'm like, sweet, let's fucking go. And so we walk down Akihabara and onto the main road, and then he suddenly turns into the side streets. And then through the side streets and all the way through the back end of Akihabara, and he suddenly goes into this tiny alleyway. It's like quite a narrow alleyway, like only enough to fit like maybe 1.5 people shoulder to shoulder, and it was quite long and literally in between these two really tall buildings. And I was like, bro, where the fuck are you taking me right now? And then he starts climbing up this like quite narrow set of stairs up one of the buildings. And I'm like, dude, I don't think we should go in here, man. I've seen that RAPE hentai before. Nothing good ever happens in alleyways, dude. But he didn't stop and he's like, no, it's up here. Come on, just come with me. So I'm like, alright, whatever. Rest in peace, Joey. So I followed him up this set of stairs, and I think we got up to about the 4th or the 5th floor, and he opened up this tiny door. There was no sign anywhere on the door, there was no sign anywhere on the staircase. I didn't know where the fuck this door was going to lead me. So he opens up the door, and the first thing I hear is a Japanese lady saying, "Nani shi ni kita no?" And I looked, and there was a Japanese woman in a maid costume with the biggest sourpuss I'd ever seen in my life. Like, this girl looked like her boyfriend had just broken up with her like seconds prior to my friend opening the door. Like, she was pissed. I could tell by looking at her face, and I could tell from the tone of her voice. So then she continues on, points towards a particular part of the room and says, "Anta ra soko suatte." And I look inside and it's a cafe. And so I'm like, is this a maid cafe, dude? But I could tell something was off. It wasn't the whole moe moe kyun kyun okaeri nasaimase goshujin sama kawaii vibe that I had read about in the books of the maid cafes. And sure enough, there were like 3 other maids in there who looked just as pissed off as the maid who greeted us, if you can call that a greeting whatsoever. So we sit at the table that the pissed off maid pointed to. This room is quite small. It, I would say, only fit about like 15, 20 people. And there were like 3 or 4 other middle-aged dudes sitting in separate tables. I guess they'd come by themselves, just eating or drinking whatever the fuck it was that they were doing. Now, normally in a maid cafe or just a regular cafe in Japan, the moment a customer sits down at a table, the first thing that the waiter or waitress does is they bring 3 things. 1, a glass of cold water. 2, a little moist towelette for you to wash your hands with. And 3, the menu of the restaurant. And so this sourpuss maid that had just greeted us did come to the table with all 3 of those things, luckily. But what she ended up doing was she, let's just say, violently threw all 3 things onto the table. So hard, in fact, that I remember the glass of water that was placed in front of my friend, like half of the water spilled onto the table. And did the maid clean it up? Absolutely fucking not, because she was a bitch and she just spilt it and then was like, "Hayaku kimero yo, baka." And she just left. Like, bitch, you just gotta leave this spilt water on the table. We're the customers right now. Like, I seriously thought that this particular maid just had something, like some kind of personal beef with my friend. So I just had to break it to him, like, dude, where the fuck are we right now? What is going on? Who is that bitch? Why is she pissed off at you? Why are you okay about it? And with like a really like coy smile, he was like, "Bro, this isn't just any old maid cafe. This is a Tsundere maid cafe." And I'm like, "So what you're meaning to tell me is that it's a maid cafe, but all the maids are Tsunderes? In other words, they are cold-hearted bitches that give you a shitty impression and purposely hate on you so that your seriously masochistic, perverted ass can dream of sexual fantasies to these women." What? And that's when I realized I'd fucked up. And that's when I also realized that my friend is retarded. Mind you, I knew that my friend was a pretty hardcore otaku. He's a Japanese man, full Japanese, and he was a pretty hardcore otaku. I understood that. I understood that he loved his doujins. I understood that he loved his hentai. I understood that he loved his moe blob shit. That was fine, because I also like the same things. I love the doujins, I love the hentais, I love all the moe blob shit. But the fundamental difference between him and me is that I am not a perverted masochist. I am neither masochistic nor sadistic, in fact. I am cleanly in the middle. But my friend, on the other hand, he was leaning way past the M end of the scale. So he was having the time of his fucking life, having this bitch of a maid pour like half his glass of water onto the table, leave it there, and then slam the fucking menu down on the table and telling him to fucking clean up after her mistakes. And sure enough, when I looked around at the other dudes at the tables who were getting served by the other sourpuss maids that were in this room, because there was like 3 or 4 of them and they all looked equally pissed off as the first one, they were getting the same treatment and they all seemed to be having a blast with this whole customer service. And so at that point I was just like, dude, what the fuck is this? Get me out of here. I'm just gonna order something quickly so that we can just drink or eat the shit, whatever it is that we're gonna order, just get it into our bodies and get the fuck out of here. So I look at the menu, and as is the case with every maid cafe, the items look like shit and they are ridiculously overpriced. I don't know why just a simple glass of like iced coffee, which looks like the most generic iced coffee that you could probably make at home, costs like 10 times the amount that you get at a regular cafe. Like, what, are they using ice cubes that Louis Vuitton made or something? Like, why is it so fucking expensive? So anyway, we both look at the menu. My friend orders some kind of drink. I don't remember what it was, a coffee or a tea, or I don't fucking remember what exactly he ordered. But I didn't order anything because I was a financially struggling teenager at that point. Teenagers, I get your struggle. Hashtag relatable. And we waited there to get our drinks. And honestly, I didn't know what came first, the drinks or Christmas. Because these drinks took so long, because no matter how many times you'd call the waitress, the waitresses would just fucking stand there like they would purposely ignore you and give you the cold shoulder. I'm like, no, bitch, you don't understand. Like, yeah, okay, you may be acting as like this cold-hearted tsundere bitch to the customers. Yeah, maybe they like that. But if you're gonna ignore me when I'm calling you to get some kind of service, what the fuck's the point of being in this room? I could go to a fucking vending machine and get a canned coffee for like the 20th of the price, and it'll probably have a better customer service than this shit. And just a personal thing, now that I remember, I think the thing that even pissed me off even more than it should have at the point was the fact that the maids weren't even that cute. Only like 3 out of the 4 something maids that were in this tiny room were like not even that cute. And the one that like greeted us and was serving us was probably the least cute out of the 3 or 4 that were there. So I'm just like, bitch, you're ugly. What the fuck? Like, why do I have to pay extra money to get this shitty service that's only gonna make me feel suicidal at the end of it? I might as well go into a maid cafe. At least the girls at the maid cafe, they may not be any prettier than you, but at least they're in a good fucking mood. At least I can hold a decent human conversation with these people. Actually, now that I have actually been to a cafe, having a regular conversation with maids is pretty impossible. So Christmas finally rolls up and we finally get the drinks. I'm just sitting there like eagerly tapping my foot like, bro, let's get the fuck out of here. I don't like this place. And my friend is just sitting there like just meandering and taking in this like, I guess, good atmosphere that he thought he was in. Like, dude, no, it is not a good atmosphere. These women are bitches. They can't do just decent customer service in any way. This is not fun. And when we finally got out and I opened that door, and after the maids just kind of pretty much spat at our feet to get the fuck out of the cafe, that is when I realized that, my god, I hate my friend. But also, my god, I hate maid cafes. And that's why I knew that a maid cafe was going to be bad before I even went into it. Because I had already experienced pretty much the bottom shit in the barrel, which is known as a Tsundere maid cafe. No wonder the Tsundere maid cafes were so much smaller and hidden away than the maid cafes. It's like a niche within a niche. Not only do you need to be into like maid cafes and that kind of anime culture and be okay with a maid customer service, but you also need to be just a really perverted and masochistic fuck. So if you are to take anything from this shitty story, I leave you with 2 morals. 1, don't be friends with a super masochistic Japanese otaku. And 2, don't go to a Tsundere maid cafe. In fact, 3, don't go to a maid cafe just in general. I'm telling you guys right now, unless you're really okay with experiencing cringe, you just want to go there just purely for the experience to say, yeah, I went to a maid cafe and fucking survived mentally, then don't bother with a maid cafe. I know so many people who have come to Japan and been like, I'm gonna go to a maid cafe, and like 9 people out of 10 have come out just being like, that was not good. That was not as good as I thought. And that's because these kinds of concepts of like in a maid cafe, this moe kawaii kyun kyun yan yan concept is just fucking cringy to look at in real life. In anime it's fine because these are exaggerated characteristics, but when real Japanese girls do it, especially Japanese girls that aren't exactly attractive, it's just cringy to watch. It's just like, don't, fuck, no, please, kill me. And a Tsundere cafe is especially bad. Yeah, Taiga Aisaka is cute and Louise from Zero no Tsukaima may be adorable to some people, but I'm telling you right now, Tsunderes in real life are just fucking cold-hearted bitches that you want to slap across the face. If you are a woman out there who does partake in Tsundere maid cafes as an occupation, then I am sorry, but what you guys call a service is not a service. It is a disservice to my brain cells. But hey, if you do want to experience the cringe for yourself, and if you do want to experience suicidal tendencies in Japan, then go to a Tsundere maid cafe. Go ahead and try it out. I mean, honestly, that cafe that I went to, I remember it was so small and so out of the way. I doubt that it's even there anymore. I'll be very surprised if it's still there. I bet you the same 3 people and my friend who I've lost contact with now is still probably there every day. But yeah, if you do ever end up going to Akihabara or just come to Japan to visit Akihabara, then there are so many cooler places. Don't waste your time going to the back alleys of Akihabara to look at fucking Tsundere maid cafes. It's like, bro, come on, man. So yeah, that's my story of going to a Tsundere maid cafe and why I hate maid cafes in general. Yeah, I've never done these kinds of unscripted stories from my life before, so if you want to hear more of them, then I might start doing them more on my second channel, or if you guys like them here, I might do them on my main channel. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Tsundere maid cafes? Like, as a concept, do you think it would work for some people, or maybe it's just fucking niche and stupid? Tell me if you have been to a Tsundere maid cafe and what did you think about it. Tell me if you've been to a maid cafe and what did you think about it. And just tell me if you do decide to come to Japan, would you still go to a maid cafe or possibly even a Tsundere maid cafe? Always guys, let me know all that kind of stuff in the comments below. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. As always, like and favorite if you enjoy, subscribe for more anime banner, and I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever I make. Keep watching anime.